You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Hello, beautiful people. Happy Friday, happy Venus Day, and happy Friday the 13th. We're going to talk a little bit about that in just a moment, but I want to start today's show a little differently than we normally do. I just want to start by acknowledging that the energy we are walking into is not the easiest energy to navigate. And if you're feeling that, it's totally fine. Sometimes being in alignment with the transits and being in alignment with the universe requires hard work. And sometimes astrology can be that reassurance that even though things are difficult, we're right on time. So if you're joining me live, if you're finding this video later, let's just start by putting one hand on our heart, the other hand on our stomach, and taking one collective big deep breath together. Here we go. Inhale. Okay, we're here. We're ready to talk about the eclipse, but I think a fun place to start is actually going to be Friday the 13th, because this is something that I learned today for the first time. You know, Friday the 13th, there's movies about it. It's this ominous date on the calendar, but there's this post that's been circulating that I want to show you. This was created by Forever Conscious and Rewilding for Women, both great accounts to follow on Instagram. I believe they actually posted this last year, but it says, before patriarchal times, Friday the 13th was considered the day of the goddess. It was considered the day to worship the divine feminine that lives in us all, both men and women, and honor the cycles of creation and death and rebirth. Hello, eclipse in Scorpio. If this isn't right on time, I don't know what is. Friday the 13th was considered a very powerful day to manifest, honor creativity, and celebrate beauty, wisdom, and nourishment of the soul. Because remember, Friday is Venus Day, the day of the divine feminine, the day of creativity and love and pleasure. The number 13 also holds an extremely potent feminine energy and is considered to be the number of death and rebirth, creation, fertility, and blood. This is because we have 13 moon cycles every year, and the average female also experiences 13 periods per year. So 13 is very much linked to femininity, and I love this way of reframing Friday the 13th, almost to take back our power. Again, feels very timely ahead of the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. One more thing I want to show you about this. The 13th card in tarot means death, shed the old, give birth to a new opportunity. So again, going with the number 13, holding this great feminine power, this cycle of death and rebirth power. You know, when it comes to femininity, it's all about shedding our womb, rebirthing things. So just want to invite you to take that perspective the next time you see Friday the 13th pop up on your calendar. Let me know if you're joining us live, how today's energy is feeling for you, how you're feeling about the eclipse, or even if you find this video later, let me know down in the comments. So today we're going to walk through the energy leading up to this eclipse. There are a lot of major transits surrounding the lunar eclipse in in Scorpio. We had the solar eclipse in Taurus 2 weeks ago. And then we will talk about the eclipse itself and what it means for each rising sign. So depending on when you're finding this video, if you want to jump to any certain point along the way, I'll put descriptors down below and chapter markers on the timeline so you can navigate this a little more easily. But let's start with today, Friday the 13th. And of course, I love sharing little tidbits about holidays that often get overlooked by, mainstream news, social media. The energy is very real, but we got this. You are not the first person who's told me that, and I am feeling it myself, you guys. So give yourself grace over the next couple of days. Allow yourself to really process, integrate anything that's coming up for you. This eclipse cycle is really unearthing a lot of things that have been hiding in the shadows for all of us. So be gentle with yourselves. Okay, let's pull up today's chart and talk about the major transit we're experiencing right now, this Friday. So the sun in Taurus is now conjunct the North Node. Now, we're seeing a lot of nodal activation ahead of this lunar eclipse. And eclipses work off of the nodes, the north and south nodes. Essentially, an eclipse occurs when the moon and sun are in alignment with the north and south nodes. So it's very interesting. There are no coincidences in astrology that we're seeing a couple major nodal activations leading up to this lunar eclipse. If you look at our chart here, you can see the sun and the north node at the same spot in the sky. We've been feeling this energy for some time, and we'll feel it over the weekend as well. But in general, something you might be experiencing right now, or maybe feeling leading up to this Friday, is this conscious awareness of the direction you're supposed to be heading, the energy you're meant to embody. This is helping us see where we're supposed to go. The sun is acting as a flashlight, an illuminator on our purpose. In fact, this could illuminate our soul's mission if we are open to the shifts happening all around us. Now, this isn't necessarily like coming in hot, like all of a sudden we have this aha moment. Remember, the sun and north node are both in Taurus, which is notorious for being a little bit slow moving. With this conjunction, which happens once a year, with it happening in the earthy sign of Taurus, though, our focus can also be on the physical planet, on the earth. So it could be that information is coming to light, awareness is building collectively and individually about our impact on the earth and about the direction we need to head to take care of this beautiful planet that we live on. This is a moment in general with the sun and the north node meeting where we can learn something new, and any new information that comes in, any experiences that we're having consciously can help us fulfill our purpose and move in the direction that we are supposed to go. So this is a nice little almost preview of the eclipse, or even like a nugget of information the universe is giving us, a nugget of awareness that the universe is giving us about what we need to embody, what we're here to work towards. Now, at the same time, if you look at the chart, when the sun is conjunct the north node, remember, anytime one node is activated, the other node is activated as well. So the sun is opposing the south node. And when the sun opposes the moon is full. We can see the face of the moon, right? So when the sun is opposing the south node, it's illuminating the shadows. All part of this eclipse we'll be talking about. The sun opposing the south node is showing us what we need to release after the eclipse under the full moon so we can move into our full potential in this lifetime. So that sounds on par for you, on trend for you. I feel it. Let me know if you're feeling it too, if any sort of shadows have been illuminated in your life leading up to this eclipse. Today, the moon is still in Libra. You might have noticed on Thursday, just kind of a nice balanced energy throughout the day. Now, I will say the moon opposed Chiron at 1 a.m. So late last night, some people could have been triggered, especially if it involved old pain, old wounds. That could have come up for you. Although we've been talking about balance and harmony with the moon in the sign of Libra, being around other people, enjoying other people's company. When the moon opposes Chiron like that, and again, this is a transit you probably would have felt last night rather than this morning. When the moon opposes Chiron, we can definitely be triggered. And again, this is showing us shadows, pain, trauma that we can release under this eclipse on Sunday. throughout the day today, the moon has been making a lot of uncomfortable connections. Overnight, it formed a quincunx or an inconjunct angle to Uranus. It's like we're aware of these disruptions and shifts happening, but emotionally we're having a hard time aligning with them when this happens. And then this afternoon, right now, actually, if you look at the chart, the moon is forming that same uncomfortable angle, the moon over here in Libra, to Mars in Pisces. So it's one sign off from an opposition, which makes it this imbalanced, awkward energy. And again, this is kind of asking us, what adjustments do we need to make? What actions can we take right now to get more in alignment, to be able to release and surrender under that lunar eclipse? Mars in Pisces wants us to go with the flow, but it's almost like under this imbalanced aspect, it's difficult to find the current in order to go with the flow. So just if it feels like, I don't know what to do next, we can be very indecisive under a Libra moon. Ask what feels right, try to go with the flow, and understand that things are a little murky and we're really not in control right now. So just doing what feels right is kind of your best bet, as long as, you know, you're not hurting anyone else in the process. But if you're feeling confusion right now, that's par for the course, okay? 3 o'clock this afternoon, the moon makes yet another awkward angle. It's like the Libra moon, we want to be balanced. We're craving balance, but all day today, there's a lot of imbalance and a lot of striving to find balance, making those uncomfortable connections, those awkward adjustments, showing us what we need to kind of recalibrate in order to find balance. So the moon forms this uncomfortable angle to the sun and the north node, that conjunction we talked about this afternoon. And again, it's like we're gaining that conscious awareness. We know what changes are happening. We know what energy we need to embody. We know ultimately our purpose and our direction, right? On at least some level. We know where we're supposed to be going right now. But the moon in Libra is like, I'm not so sure. Does that make sense? It's like this kind of, I want to feel like things are moving along, but I just don't really know what to do with the current energy. That's how it's feeling to me, and that's what the transits are saying. But things could get a little bit clearer, at least tonight, 6 p.m. this Friday night Pacific time. The moon harmonizes with Saturn. So Saturn is in Aquarius. Don't we know it? Those of us going through our Saturn returns. And when that moon hits 24 degrees, it forms a trine to Saturn and Aquarius over here, this balanced, beautiful 120-degree angle. This can give us a little bit more of a solid footing when the moon and Saturn interact in this way. We can get a little bit more patience, more maturity. We can understand that we don't have to have it all figured out right now. We have plenty of time to work through this transformation. It can just really help us slow down and find some security within ourselves. We are able to give ourselves credit for the wisdom we've already gained through our transformational journey, through our healing journey, just in life in general, but also understand how much time we have ahead of us, how much more we have to learn. Now, at the same time, the moon, yes, again, is forming another awkward angle to Neptune. So it can still feel like there's an air of confusion and fogginess around the entire day, honestly. But just know Saturn tonight will kind of help us plant our feet, get a little bit rooted, get a little bit grounded, and even just slow down. It's like this transit can help us find stability in our own gravitational force. Like our bodies, this sounds so weird, but like the solid mass of our body, like being rooted in the ground. That's how I see it tonight. Like just kind of find that gravitational force that's holding you down to the earth right now. Even if it's confusing, just find that security within yourself. So Friday's energy is starting to feel a little uncomfortable. Let me know if you're experiencing it. It's like we know what's coming. We know where we're heading, but it doesn't exactly feel nice at the moment. Okay, I'm feeling really good, surprisingly. Scorpio rising. Oh, you're going to have a whole new sense of self after this lunar eclipse. Venus in your first house. Okay. Yesterday was a pretty hard day, but today feels good. I'm feeling really optimistic. Lucky Sag, Sun, Stellium. Love that for you. Interesting. I'm really happy to hear that things are feeling a little better for you. It definitely feels like this eclipse has been coming in waves, or this eclipse cycle, I should say, has been coming in waves for me at least. There are times where I'm like, oh, I feel great. Like, look at me transforming. And then there are times where I'm like, what is happening? But I always like to tell you guys, I appreciate your feedback because we all experience the transits differently based on our own chart. So you having Venus in the first house means that this eclipse likely is somewhat conjunct your Venus if you have Venus in Scorpio. So you could have a whole new lease on, or new realizations about what you need in life, like what brings you joy, what brings you pleasure, what you're craving, how you receive love, and your own value, your own worth, with this all happening in your first house. I love this for you. Feeling some hints of clarity in my direction in life, but there's still a lot hidden. Yeah, Katie. I'm holding on to the little nuggets of known that I can. Beautiful. So beautiful. That is the energy of today. Like, okay, like I said, we know we're getting a little hint of clarity. Like, this is where we're supposed to be going, but we don't have all the details. We never have all the details. The universe likes to keep things hidden from us, right? I think when you say there's still a lot hidden, focus as we come up to this eclipse on excavating what's hidden within you. What have you been repressing? What's maybe hiding in the shadows? If you open yourself up to that, maybe a little bit of self-analysis as the moon moves into Scorpio tomorrow, you might, sometimes it can be tricky because it excavates things we weren't expecting, right? But it could give you a little bit more clarity about what's holding you back, what is still hidden, right? You're right on time though. Everything you just said is spot on. The ups and downs have been crazy. That's eclipse season, you guys. And then we have Mercury retrograde. We also have Pluto retrograde. I mean, the amount of little mini tech glitches that happened just trying to start this live stream. Hello, Mercury. And then Pluto retrograde. Remember, this Scorpio lunar eclipse is ruled by Pluto. So there could be situations that are forcing you to go back to review the transformational process with Pluto retrograde. A lot of times we just attribute that to Mercury, but Pluto's retrograde too right now. And so for you, ZG, you're ruled by Pluto with your Scorpio rising. If things have been forcing you to kind of, it's almost like the ups and downs are like forward back too, like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, right? We're making progress, but we have to go back and review the transformational journey. We have to check the facts, make sure that we didn't leave anything hidden in the shadows, that type of energy. Venus in Capricorn in my first house, lots of cycles this eclipse season for sure. And Pluto's in Capricorn too. So not sure if that is close to your Venus at all, but that Pluto retrograde could be activating your Venus a little bit. You guys are coming in hot today. Lots of Aquarius energy for you, Diane, and lots of Virgo. No idea what I'm feeling. Taurus moon. Okay, so this is kind of like a full moon culmination moment for you. If you have a Taurus moon and the full moon is in Scorpio, there's going to be some opposition playing out, some things illuminated in your life. But with so much going on in Aquarius, there's going to be tension for you. With the Scorpio lunar eclipse, it's going to square all of that Aquarius energy, and I have no idea what I'm feeling. Like, it could just feel like things are blindsiding you a little bit, like there's some tension. Just, I would say, be ready for like shifts, rapid shifts and surprises for you. Really lean into that earth energy in your chart. Like, try to get grounded through all of this. Taurus, Mars, Virgo moon. Well, we love a Virgo moon. I'm biased, but I love a Virgo moon. So not exactly that opposition energy, but still Mars could be opposing this lunar eclipse for you, which could bring some agitation, irritation. Like if you're feeling angry, irritable, frustrated, seems about right for you, Diane. Okay, Pluto in Scorpio generation, yeah. And then those of us with Pluto in Scorpio, our Pluto's being activated by the lunar eclipse. Like, trust me, we've just gotten through Friday. Hold on to your butts, everybody. Like, we are going deeper. Okay, so let's move to Saturday now. Saturday, we have more activation of the North Node. So let's fast forward our chart here and we'll go forward a day so I can show you what this looks like. Okay, so we have Mars at 22 degrees, forming a sextile to the North Node, a trine to the South Node. These are positive aspects, and we could gain a little bit more clarity actually tomorrow. Maybe clarity is not the right word, but it just could feel more natural to take action in that direction. Like we got the awareness today or over the past couple of days. This is where we're supposed to be going. This is the energy we're supposed to be embodying right now. Mars forming a sextile to the North Node, harmonizing with the South Node, will help us start to take action in that direction. But the key with Mars in Pisces is only to take action that really feels natural, that feels intuitive. Mars in Pisces wants us to listen to our intuition and act from that place, right? It's almost like gut instinct. So when Mars and the North Node connect in this way, or the nodes in general connect this way, it can just help us push a little bit along on the path. You know, the moves that we make this weekend are supporting our higher purpose, are supporting the energy we're here to embody, and we can use that intuition, that innate wisdom within us with Mars and Pisces to our advantage. So really tap into your intuition this weekend. And if it doesn't feel like a 100% yes in your gut, hold off, wait. We have a lot of retrograde eclipse energy, so it's not the best time to be taking major actions anyway. The actions we're talking about with this sextile between Mars and the North Node are more like baby steps or like slight redirections, finding a new current, finding a new flow. Okay? The moon hangs out in Libra in the early morning hours tomorrow, late tonight. So Friday night into Saturday morning, 1 a.m. Pacific time, the moon squares off to Pluto. We've been talking a lot about Pluto, right? Pluto retrograde, I should say. And so this is making us like frustratingly aware of the transformation we're going through. This can lead to power struggles. This can lead to tension. It's like forcing any shadows to be excavated, any darkness to be pushed into the light when the moon squares Pluto like this, and it can bring those intense emotions to the surface as well. It's really a forceful, almost jarring, agitating energy when we have a tense 90-degree square between planets like this. Tonight, tomorrow morning, if you happen to be awake during this transit, if you're feeling that agitation late tonight, avoid the tendency to control, to manipulate. If you suddenly feel vulnerable or exposed because intense shadows, intense feelings are coming up for you, avoid the tendency to try to control or lash out on other people. You know, Pluto energy, it can be a little intense. So just fair warning there. Let's be kind to other people as we're going through our own shit, because everyone else is dealing with theirs as well. And this could even be like if you feel like you're in a nice place right now, you're riding one of the highs of the eclipse wave, the moon squaring Pluto could bring up intense emotions for other people, making them act out in a certain way. So really try to be aware that we're all experiencing tension right now, and it's not an easy energy to navigate. Again, that will be late Friday night into early Saturday morning. Then the moon moves into Scorpio, dives into the deepest sign of the zodiac at 3:30 a.m. Pacific time Saturday morning. This is setting the stage for the lunar eclipse. This is really anything that we haven't felt yet, way down in there, is going to be felt now. You know, the Scorpio moon always reminds us that we have to go through darkness in order to find our way into the light. We can't level up in consciousness, get ahead in life. We can't grow as humans unless we are willing to understand fully maybe what's holding us back, or what's subconsciously controlling us, what subconscious patterns have been playing out, have been running the show, if you know what I mean. So the Scorpio moon makes us aware of those things. Shadows can be illuminated. Secrets could be exposed under a Scorpio moon, and we can even discover new parts of ourselves. The moon makes some uncomfortable connections again on Saturday. The moon is like, other than that trine to Saturn on Friday night, the moon is really setting us up for some agitation and tension this weekend. So 4 a.m. Saturday morning, right when the moon moves into Scorpio, it makes an uncomfortable angle to Jupiter. So when the moon's at 0 degrees, it will form this quincunx to Jupiter in Aries. New opportunity. Hello, Mercury retrograde. Okay, we're back. The Jupiter's now in Aries, and new opportunities are on the horizon, but we can't quite see them yet. We can't quite align with them yet. And the moon making this imbalanced angle to Jupiter in this way, first thing Saturday morning, is like, yeah, you want to be excited about that thing, right? You want to be excited about expansion and new opportunities, adventure, but we're not there just yet, okay? So that's what happens first thing after the moon moves into Scorpio. Then at 11 a.m. on Saturday, yes, another awkward angle. The moon forms that quincunx, that imbalanced angle, this time to Mercury retrograde. So you can see that playing out over here with Mercury still in Gemini and the moon in Scorpio. It's like they are not on the same plane. They are not talking to each other. They are not compatible in any way. And so communication isn't going to flow very easily on Saturday. Like tech issues, communication breakdowns are definitely possible. And with the moon in Scorpio, we could even find ourselves like fully internalizing emotions on Saturday, being overly vulnerable without really thinking things through. It could be kind of one or the other. Either we're like totally in our head and like in our own little shell, not really wanting to let other people in, or we could just be like fully exposed, like this is what's coming up for me, without really thinking about how we're communicating, how that's landing for the other person in the conversation or the other people around us. So expressing ourselves on Saturday won't necessarily be easy or natural or flow. It could be a lot of self-reflection that we're doing because the connections aren't really there on Saturday to be around other people. If you are around other people, that's not like a bad thing necessarily. Just know that like you might want to take some extra care into how you're communicating, how you're showing up, making sure that you are double checking plans, things like that. Yeah, so far I feel bad, you guys. I have had nothing like super positive to say yet. But that's our Saturday, okay? Now let's move into Sunday. If you thought things were already crazy, just you wait, okay? We have so many transits surrounding this lunar eclipse, and we're going to just start chronologically. We're going to go through them in the order of how they're playing out. So let's start with this bad boy. At 5 a.m. on Sunday morning, all Pacific time always, Venus and Chiron meet up. Chiron, the wounded healer, representing our deepest wounds and our ability to heal them. And once we do heal them, our ability to help others do the same. So when Venus meets up with Chiron in Aries, in the sign of the child, it can provoke inner child wounds. And I see this as inner child wounds almost like playing out in current relationships, because when we have a conjunction like this, let me show you on the chart here. When we have a conjunction like this, it's like the two energies are blended. So Venus is our ability to receive love, to give love. It's our affection. It's that feminine energy like we talked about at the beginning of this live stream. And when Venus is conjunct Chiron, let's see, pull it up on the chart over here in Aries, our ability to love is blended with our wounds, right? So we could find ourselves playing out old traumatic situations that maybe we used to express love in this way, and so we're going to play it out again. Or especially with the eclipse happening on this day, it's like any trauma, any wounding around relationships is likely to come up during this eclipse, just because we have this conjunction playing out at the same time. Now, the beautiful thing about eclipses, about full moons, is they're times of release. They're times where the shadows are illuminated, especially lunar eclipses, as we'll talk about in a moment. So, you know, earlier in the day, pain points could come up in your relationship. And this isn't just romantic relationships. This could be relationships with people close to you, partnerships, maybe you and a family member even. It could bring up old triggers from those relationships, or you might find yourself or other people infusing triggers from past relationships into current relationships, current partnerships. This can be business partnerships, friendships, all that good stuff. So just be gentle with yourself, be gentle with other people. And if triggers do arise, the best way to handle them with this eclipse is to observe them and get ready to release. Having some sort of release ritual or ceremony around this eclipse would be really powerful. Even a cord cutting ceremony, a cord cutting ritual. You could even just like look up on YouTube, cord cutting meditation. Whatever's coming up is asking to be released. So remember that if you're experiencing tense moments, you know, dis-ease, unease, I don't know what the right word is, but you see what I'm saying. If it's coming up, if a trigger is being pressed, it's asking to be released. It's asking to get out of your body, get out of the person's body who's being triggered, right? We have my stepdad's 50th birthday party on Sunday, so here's hoping it's not too crazy. You know, eclipses can just bring positive shifts too, new chapters. So the beautiful thing, Jennifer, is that you know the energy. You are now an ambassador of the energy. You know, if people around you are feeling a little bit tense or not really understanding what's going on, you can be that guiding light to be like, you know what, it's all right. It's okay. You know, grandpa's acting out, whoever's going to be there, the little kids are freaking out. It's just the eclipse. It's all good, right? Okay, so that's the first transit. We still have quite a few to get through. All right. Then at about noon, the sun squares Saturn. So basically, this lunar eclipse is squaring Saturn, is forming a T-square to Saturn. Let me show you what that looks like, because I think this is a good visual. So a full moon or a lunar eclipse happen when the sun is opposite the moon, okay? So actually, I'm just going to jump ahead to the time of the eclipse. Okay, here we are. Close enough. See how the moon and sun are opposing each other. This is what happens during the eclipse. And the moon is very close to the south node. The sun is very close to the north node. That's why we see the Earth's shadow on the moon. What is right in the middle, forming this tense 90-degree angle to both of them? Our friend Saturn, or maybe our foe Saturn, depending on your current relationship. Right now, Saturn is not my friend. Saturn is sitting on my Saturn. So this is a super fun eclipse, you guys. But Saturn is the focal point of this T-square during the lunar eclipse, which can bring really harsh lessons or just lessons in general. I don't want to label them as really harsh. I don't want to put that on you, but Saturn doesn't like to teach things in the most gentle way. And this can really feel like the weight of our responsibilities, the weight of the lessons we're learning can feel very heavy with Saturn's 90-degree influence to the sun and to the moon. It's like our attitude can be our own worst enemy when Saturn makes this conjunction, or this connection, I should say, this T-square to the north and south nodes, to the sun, to the moon. It's like we're almost trapped by the boundaries we're placing on ourselves. But Saturn is the focal point of this T-square. And anybody with Leo placements around 24 degrees, 22 to 26 degrees, I would say this is going to be really major for you. So let me know. I have Venus right there. That's just me. Like, that's what's called the release point, and what would form a grand square, what would complete this T-square. And so that can kind of be a focal point for you if you are someone with that Leo placement. For the rest of us, we're just going to focus on Saturn down here. And so Saturn is really bringing those lessons, is really showing us what isn't working, what isn't creating a solid foundation. This can break boundaries, this can create boundaries. Even like small tasks can feel really big, or even like burdens under this transit. Saturn just brings a limiting influence. It's known as the Great Malefic for a reason. He gets a bad rep, but it's because he kind of causes a lot of headaches. Isolation is possible with Saturn squaring the moon and the sun in this way on Sunday. The easiest way around this transit is not around it at all. It's right through it. The beautiful thing about the current energy is that there's a lot of determination. This eclipse is really activating fixed energy. So Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, and Scorpio placements are going to feel this the most powerfully, the most intensely. But the beautiful thing I think about fixed energy is that it's determined. It's going to push through. Another astrologer I love, Astrology by Celeste, she always says when the moon is in fixed signs, remember, we're not breaking down, we're breaking through. So it's almost as though this T-square to the lunar eclipse is acting as a breakthrough moment, is allowing us to level up by really forcing us to realize the lessons we are learning right now. I don't think this is like an aha moment or so like a zing of insight or anything like that, just more of this slow, steady, gradual awareness of like, okay, if you haven't learned the lesson yet that eclipse season has been trying to teach you, this eclipse on Sunday is that culmination moment. Or it could be like all these little things have been coming into your awareness, maybe falling away, opportunities have been coming in, things like that. And this eclipse is the point where it's like, okay, this is the new direction we're going in. This is what it all means. This is how it's all coming together. And this is the bigger lesson that we're learning from all of these little inklings and nuggets the universe has been placing on our path. Oh, yeah. Diane, me. Diane, you and me, girl. We are in it together. Like, my Venus is at 26 degrees Leo. And so my Venus opposes my Saturn, which is just like extra fun during a Saturn return. But yeah, this eclipse is powerful for you, though. I don't want to paint a picture that this eclipse is like this huge thing to be feared necessarily. It's more a pivotal shift in your life, especially for you with all the placements that you have put in the comments during this live stream. Like, this is a shifting point for you, Diane, for all of us, but really for you, I feel something is changing. Something is falling away. Something is asking to be released to create room for the new. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Saturn is teaching us some serious lessons during this eclipse. Okay, we're not even to the eclipse yet. We have one more transit to talk about happening in the background, and that is the sun forming a sextile to Neptune. The first thing I get to talk about that is pleasant and helpful. Thank you. The sun forming a supportive 60-degree angle to Neptune. So let me show you on our chart. The sun over here in Taurus, Neptune over here in Pisces. It's like they've got each other's back. And this can really help us lean into compassion, lean into trust. It's opening up our psychic sensitivities and helping us tune into oneness, to the awareness, to God, to spirit. Neptune is the most spiritual planet. And so this is helping us remember it's all part of the plan. We are guided. We are protected. We are taken care of. We can trust. It's like a little pat on the back, a reassurance amid all the chaos, all the transformation. The sun and Neptune locking together in this way, just a few hours before the eclipse. Like, thank you, universe. Thanks for giving us just a little silver lining on a wild weekend we have ahead. So this is also inviting us to listen to our intuition. Our intuition is going to be really loud this weekend. And so when the sun and Neptune connect in this way, we can have that moment. This is about noon on Sunday. And the beautiful thing, too, is we just talked about all of that Saturn lesson, harsh energy, but it's all happening at the same time as the sun and Neptune are supporting each other. So throughout the weekend, it's like Neptune's influence, especially with Neptune being in its home sign of Pisces. It's in a place where it loves to be. Neptune is just like If there's any doubt, it's like trust, 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 trust. All the angel numbers, all the signs, our angels coming through, our guides coming through, God, Jesus, whoever you believe in, sending you messages, even through just energy, letting you know we are taken care of. It's all going to be okay. That is the message from Neptune this weekend. And then the big kahuna, what you've all been waiting for. We have the lunar eclipse in Scorpio happening at 9:13 p.m. Pacific time. This is happening at 24 degrees in Scorpio. So all of the activations this weekend are happening at 22 or 24 degrees. Great time to pull out your chart, take a look. You can always get a copy of your birth chart through the link in the description or the QR code in the corner. What's going on 22 to 24 degrees, especially in fixed signs, Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, and Scorpio. Those areas of your chart are going to be lit up and could actually give you clues as to what is falling away, what is being activated in your life, what shadows are being revealed specific to those placements, and just what energy is being activated the most for you. So let's talk about this lunar eclipse now. What does it mean? We've led up to it. We've painted a picture of the kind of chaos surrounding it. And now let's talk about the main kahuna, the big kahuna itself. Diane, I feel promise and change. Yes, 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 yes. I love that for you. This is definitely a moment of change for you. And we're always protected. There's always a higher plan for us, right? Yes. I love this. Okay, so the lunar eclipse. Dun, dun, dun. I wish I had, do we have like a drum roll? Hold on, I never use these. Here we go. The lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipse in Scorpio. This is the climax, the culmination point we've been talking about for several weeks now. We had the solar eclipse in Taurus, and that brought changes, new information, new insights. It was also conjunct Uranus, kind of bringing this disruption, creating the energy of change that we've been feeling over the past 2 weeks. Now the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. So just a little bit of a mini science lesson here. A lunar eclipse happens when the Earth passes directly between the sun and the moon and blocks out the sun's light onto the moon, casting that orangey shadow. You all know what I'm talking about. You've seen the videos. You've probably seen a lunar eclipse with your bare eyes at some point in your life. I'm not positive what areas of the world will be able to see this eclipse. Check back on Instagram for that. I'll find that out for you guys. But that's what's going on. And energetically, spiritually, when we see the Earth's shadow on the moon, that reddish glow, it's almost as if we are seeing our own shadows. We are being given an opportunity to realize the shadows within. As without, so within, right? And eclipses have been times associated with disaster, major disruptions, shifts in history, because remember, our ancestors used to live by the sun and the moon. So if the light of the sun or the moon was blocked out, they considered it a bad omen from God, from the universe, from whoever they believed in, right? So we know now eclipses don't have to be this fearful thing. They just mark times of change. And they offer an opportunity for us to release by fully observing our own shadows. Eclipses can be really beautiful as well. You know, last year during the lunar eclipse in Sagittarius, I was still working for a local news station and got sent out to report on the lunar eclipse. And it was the first time I ever talked about astrology on air. And something was born within me like, ooh, I could do something with this. It was just a little nugget, right? But we can see now what it snowballed into. So we don't have to fear the eclipses. For me, that eclipse was like, what needs to fall? What's not in alignment right now? Like, I'm not fully loving what I'm doing, but there's this other thing that feels really fun and exciting to me, you know? So it's a time of change. It's a time to Be open to receiving whatever guidance, whatever messages, whatever opportunities the universe is sending us. But a lunar eclipse, a full moon in general, is a time of release. And so this lunar eclipse in the sign of death and rebirth, in the sign of Scorpio, is really showing us what needs to fall away, what needs to be released, what do we need to let go of to make room for the new. Maybe something exciting was sparked in you during that solar eclipse in Taurus, and you've had this little inkling that you're made for something more over the past 2 weeks or so. This lunar eclipse is a time to figure out what's holding you back from moving forward in that direction, if that makes sense. So it's going to be intense. It's not fun, as much as I say, like, we're aligned with the energy. If we, follow the transits, we are, but sometimes the energy is tense, and being aligned with that isn't always an easy process. As we're becoming aware of our deepest shadows under this lunar eclipse in Scorpio, our darkest fears, okay, we can release them. Now, our tendency with the lunar eclipse in Scorpio will be to try to control, to try to manipulate, to maybe even obsess over something. Like we're grasping on so tightly to that thing we don't want to release, right? But the key to navigating this eclipse is simply releasing our grip, taking our hands off the wheel, asking universe, God, spirit, Jesus, take the wheel, take the reins. I'm at your will. I'm open to opportunities. I'm open to releasing. Even doing, like I said, a cord cutting or some sort of meditation to like really try to clear energy out of your body could be really, really, really powerful under this lunar eclipse. Allow this powerful energy to just kind of burn away anything that's no longer meant for you. Scorpio is often associated with the phoenix rising from the ashes, right? And the traditional ruler of Scorpio is Mars, the most fiery planet, right? Very aggressive. But the modern ruler of Scorpio is Pluto, the planet of death and rebirth. So it's almost like there's this death and like this fire energy of burning things away. And we know that fire actually feeds the earth. Land, after it's been burned, has more fertile soil and can regenerate and grow with more nutrients after a fire. So it's like that energy, right? We have to burn away what's not meant for us anymore, you guys, in order to rise like a phoenix from the ashes, embody this new version of ourselves, really use this as a culmination point in our own evolution. Scorpio is also associated with the alchemist. So what's being transformed within us for us to embody the next version of ourselves, the next evolution of ourselves? Okay, so it's like there's a lot of opportunity here, but letting go can be really hard. You can even compare it to a major life moment. Graduating. You're so excited for the next chapter. You know something unexpected and beautiful is waiting for you, but it's really hard to say goodbye to the friends you made in the past chapter, or say goodbye to that version of yourself that you knew and loved in this past chapter, right? So, just give yourself grace. We're all transforming. It's all for the better. It's all for good, We're taken care of. We're guided. I'm going to say that 1,000 times because I need the reminder, and I have a feeling some of you do too. A huge change of chapters, endings, and beginnings. Yes, Gregory, all of it. I love all the emojis too. Seriously, like every one of these emojis is like, we're feeling all the things, Gregory. We're feeling all the things, but it's a change of chapters. Endings are new beginnings. I'm going to release my deepest fears, never finding my husband. Diane, release it. Release anything that's holding you back. We are here to support you. You've got this. What's meant for you will come to you. That's a great mantra for you under this eclipse. And so it is. And so it is. Yes. Everybody send some good, loving energy to Diane right now. Thank you for sharing that with us. All right. So we know what the energy of this lunar eclipse is bringing. Now let's break it down by what it means for you and your sign. And then we'll just finish out by going through the moon's movements on Sunday and doing a little wrap up. Wow, that hits home. Graduating from what was to what will be. I'm here for it, but it was a lot to get here. Yes. I love that you said that, Katie, because kind of going along with this graduation analogy or this major life event analogy, you could even think of it as a wedding, right? Something big. All the planning that went into it, all the studying you did to get the grades. And then it's like when you're graduating or you're getting married, you're like, okay, I did all that work. This is the culmination point. And after it's over, it's like a clean slate, starting all over again. You know that bittersweet feeling on a birthday or a big event where you're like, I did all that work and now it's over. I feel like that's kind of the energy you're talking about right now. Okay, I'm going to do something a little different by going through each of these signs this time. Okay, I am going to pull a card for each sign as well. I'm going to pull from the Cosmic Dancer Oracle. It's a new Oracle deck I just got. Not going to read a description for each sign. We're just going to pull a card and get a general vibe, and we'll talk about which house this is activating for you, which area of your life this is activating, okay? So I'm going to start with my beautiful Scorpio risings. As always, try to refer to your rising sign rather than your sun sign. That's going to be more accurate for you. So if you don't know your rising sign, you can get a free copy of your birth chart. Like I said, link in the description or in the QR code. Look for the word ascendant or ASC. That's your rising sign, okay? It's dictated by your time of birth, so you have to have your exact time of birth to know it. If you don't know your rising sign, that's okay too. Listen for your sun sign. If it resonates, take it. If it doesn't, leave it. It's all good. Whatever guidance you need to hear will come to you when you need to hear it, okay? So, starting with our Scorpio risings, this lunar eclipse, somebody was talking about this earlier. ZG, sorry. This is happening in your first house if you're a Scorpio rising. And instead of writing a full description on my website, I wrote a mantra for each sign. I really felt like we just need a mantra to come back to for all of us, for each of us during this lunar eclipse. So your mantra, Scorpio risings, is, I release the past to make space for my next evolution. I release the past to make space for my next evolution. And with this lunar eclipse, this full moon landing in your first house, it's the house of self. It's the house of purpose. It is the house of identity. You could feel like you have an entirely new identity by the time this lunar eclipse is over, by the time the moon moves out of Scorpio. It could feel like you're an entirely new person, and that can be really exciting and really scary. Sometimes we have to release the past version of ourselves in order to, like I said, fully step into the next version. So trust that you are becoming exactly who you are supposed to be, Scorpio risings. It's all going to work out. And let's see what message the universe has for you. Honor the process. Honor the process, my Scorpio risings. This is for you. Trust the process. Trust that everything is working out for your highest and best. Now, another card I actually pulled in the same pull, two cards came through, was retreat and recharge. For Scorpio risings, there is a chance if you have like a really high degree rising that this lunar eclipse is happening in your 12th house, or the moon could be moving through your 12th house this weekend. And so this is just reminding you to recharge yourself so you are ready for that next evolution. So you are ready to level up to become the next version of yourself. Okay? Libra risings. This lunar eclipse is in the second house for you. So your mantra is, I know my value and I no longer let fear dictate my finances. The second house rules our physical possessions, our income, and our values. And so there could have been a lot of limiting beliefs or fears coming up for you over the past 2 weeks, really, about money, about what we're worth, what we're deserving of, and security, like fear of not having enough money or not having the security to have the creature comforts that we need. This is your time to release those limiting beliefs and know your own value. Knowing your inherent value, Libra risings, makes you a super attractor for anything that you desire. Really lean into that self-worth under this lunar eclipse. And the card for you, if you're a Libra rising, is stretch and expand. Stretch and expand. I love this so much because This eclipse cycle is happening on the second 8th house axis for you. Yes, double checking that in my brain. The second 8th house axis. So the 8th house is like our fears that could have come up for you around the last eclipse. And the second house is our ability to manifest physical things. And so this is inviting you again with that self-worth aspect, really like even physically stretch out under the Scorpio lunar eclipse. Take up space, Libra risings. Like you are worthy of all the space you take up. And by leaning into that, you're going to bring in more of what you want. My fellow Virgo risings. Actually, what are we saying? Oh, Uranus. Okay. I'll come back to you in a second. My Virgo risings. This lunar eclipse is in our 3rd house. Okay. So this is the house of learning, of communicating, of words, of information. So our mantra for Virgo risings under the Scorpio lunar eclipse is, I am allowed to change my mind as I learn new information. I am allowed to change my mind as I learn new information. Sometimes, as Virgo risings and Virgos in general, we set a plan and we get really fixated on that plan. This is how things are going to go. This is how we're going to follow the plan. But I invite you under this lunar eclipse to be open to new information and let that new information shift your reality. Okay? Stay open, stay understanding, and really try to integrate any lessons or information that the universe is trying to send you. Okay, it wasn't shuffling. 1 second. If you are a Virgo rising, what message needs to come through for you? Master the dance. I love this so much. I actually just pulled this card in our episode of The Spiritual Journalist earlier this week. And it's all about finding alignment with the universe, mastering the dance. And that could be the dance of knowing and not knowing, right? We like to know it all as Virgo risings, but dancing with the energy, dancing with the universe means staying open to new information, getting still enough to receive that new information. I remember that being a major message when I read the description of this card, getting still to allow that new information to come in. If you're a Virgo rising, like me, you're probably like, go, 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 do. We like to be going fast paced, being efficient. Get still under the lunar eclipse and ask for new information to come through. Leo risings. This full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio is landing in your 4th house of home and family. So you could even be experiencing some major shifts in your home and family, whether that's your mother and father situation, the family who raised you, or the family you've created for yourself in this life. You could be seeing some relationships fall away or some fears coming up around relating to other people, around having that secure attachment to other people. So if you're a Leo rising, the mantra I have for you under this lunar eclipse is, it is safe to let others take care of me. It is safe to let others take care of me. Leo risings might have a bit of pride, want to kind of look like got it all figured out over here. But it's okay to let other people take care of you. It's okay to be vulnerable. Finding a safe space for yourself and in your own body is going to be especially powerful for you under this lunar eclipse, and finding that safety with other people as well, with the people closest to you. It's safe to let others take care of me. And the message coming through from the universe for you is, interesting. It's choreograph. Of course, this deck is all dance themed, but I love this for you. Choreograph. It's kind of like working with the energy and kind of manipulating it, molding it. Now, I don't want to encourage you to manipulate anything. The key to working with eclipses is surrendering. But this could be an invitation to actually invite certain people into your home or into your awareness this weekend. Almost choreograph like the environment you want to be in during the lunar eclipse. Get everything exactly where it's supposed to be so you do feel safe. And I think it's more about choreographing the people around you and the way you're interacting with them. Okay, Cancer risings. This full moon lights up your 5th house. So this lunar eclipse is bringing some shifts for you in how you have fun, how you play, how you feel free and joyous. It might be lately feeling like you're not able to align with joy, or you're having fears surrounding fully letting go and being passionate and finding pleasure, right? And so this lunar eclipse is inviting you to have a little bit of fun, to let your hair down, to release the need to be in control of everything, and just do what's fun for you. Follow what's lighting you up. Your mantra here is, it's a joy to be alive and a privilege to feel so deeply. If you're a Cancer rising, you might have some really powerful emotions. You're ruled by the moon, okay? You might be a little moody. Not a bad thing. You feel very deeply. You want to take care of other people, and you're able to nurture people so well because you have that empathy, because you can feel things so deeply. That is truly your superpower if you're a Cancer rising. Remember that it's an honor and a privilege to be able to feel so deeply. And in the depths of those emotions under this Scorpio lunar eclipse, make room for some joy, because it's that ability to feel so deeply that allows you to feel so much joy as well. So even if you're feeling sadness, know that there's a spectrum and try to lean towards that joy. And the card that's coming through for you, if you're a Cancer rising, is be present. Yes, we love this. There's always joy that can be found in the present moment, even if it's the joy of taking a big, deep breath. Like, this is your time to feel alive in the present moment. And sometimes that means feeling it all, but the beauty of feeling it all is being able to feel that full spectrum of emotions. Be present with your feelings and be present with the people around you. If we're not present, we can't fully lean into joy and fun, right? Okay, Gemini risings. This lunar eclipse is in your 6th house of health, wellness, and routines. So my mantra for you is, I let go of habits and practices that do not contribute to my wellness. I let go of habits and practices that do not contribute to my wellness. This lunar eclipse, and really the past 2 weeks in general, could have been showing you things that need to be released, things that need to fall away. And maybe even the small little decisions you're making or actions you're taking that make up the bigger picture. If you've been noticing, maybe this isn't really working out for me, or maybe I would like to incorporate something else in my routine, or maybe I just don't have a routine altogether, this is a time to review, what are your daily practices looking like, and how are they making up the overall picture of your life, and letting go under this lunar eclipse of anything that is no longer serving your highest good. That's key for you. It's all about those little things. And if you're a Gemini rising, you can pay attention to details. So really hone in on the small things that aren't working out. And the card for you under this lunar eclipse is clear the vessel. Clear the vessel. I love that this lunar eclipse is happening in the 6th house for you. We talk a lot about like routines, but it's also cleaning is a routine. And of course, the 6th house is ruled by Virgo. So we love a clean slate with that Virgo energy. But clearing the vessel, this could be a time releasing those habits, like clearing anything that has been habitually, like patterning wise, that you've been working through, clearing that vessel, cleaning your physical surrounding even, and making space for new routines, for new habits to be born. You can only do that if you have a clear picture of what you're working with, right? So if you are a Gemini rising, this is your opportunity. Release bad habits and clear that vessel. Taurus risings. The lunar eclipse falls in your 7th house. So if you're a Taurus rising, the solar eclipse 2 weeks ago could have brought about a new awareness or a new sense of self for you, really. This new moon energy in your 1st house marking this new chapter for you, especially it's Taurus season. You're probably, feeling yourself a little bit with the sun moving through your 1st house. This lunar eclipse, though, is happening in your 7th house of relationships. So by tuning into your needs, your identity, your desires, your purpose, it could have revealed some shadows about how you're relating to other people. And this lunar eclipse in your 7th house, Taurus risings, is asking you to let go of any attachments, behaviors, ways of relating that are not giving you life, are not supporting your identity, supporting your purpose. The mantra for you here is, I release any attachments no longer bringing me positive energy. The 7th house is all about one-on-one relating, whether that's in romantic partnerships, friendships, whether it's in business partnerships. It's about creating that attachment with another person, another entity. And this lunar eclipse is bringing an opportunity for you to cut the cord or release any attachments that are not bringing you positive energy, that are not supporting this new lease on life that you've found during eclipse season. And the card for you, Taurus risings, is make mistakes. Make mistakes. Do it. Make those mistakes. I love this because, and I don't know if you can see it, but on the card, there are 2 people holding hands on the edge of a cliff. Ooh. And they're literally like holding hands stretched out. Can you see that? This is so 7th house. Relating to other people, we make mistakes. Our relationships are our biggest mirrors for ourselves. And you're probably feeling this energy really powerfully if you're a Taurus rising, with that juxtaposition between the 1st house and the 7th house playing out for you during eclipse season. Make mistakes. It's okay to not be perfect. It's okay. We learn from our mistakes and our biggest lessons. Remember, Saturn is squaring this lunar eclipse. Our biggest lessons come from our mistakes. So if you've stumbled along the way in your partnerships, that's okay. Just learn from those mistakes. Mistakes are great. They give us more information about how we can do things better moving forward. But it's okay to make mistakes and not fully cut people off, right? We really want to be aware of the attachments we're making, and overall, are they bringing more positive energy into our life, or are they cutting us off from our ultimate purpose? Aries risings, lucky you. This lunar eclipse is landing in the 8th house, the house of mystery, shadows, contracts, energy work, the house of fears. And your value, your worth, your limiting beliefs might have come up for you over the past couple weeks, or this newfound desire to call in more abundance, to manifest, to attract might have been coming up for you. But this lunar eclipse for you, Aries risings, is definitely going to shine light on energetically what's holding you back from calling in that abundance. So your mantra, Aries risings, is witnessing my fears allows me to navigate them more easily. We don't know what to release unless we can see it, right? And the beauty of the 8th house is that it does allow us to go deep within and see our subconscious patterning, see the things that are holding us back that maybe we're not consciously aware of all the time. So get comfortable with your fears, get cozy with your fears. This would be a great time for meditation, or like a cord cutting meditation specifically for you, Aries risings, to just get intimate with yourself and ask the universe, ask your higher self, what's holding me back from calling in what I want to call in? And your card is number 13. On Friday the 13th, we talked all about the number 13 and this divine feminine energy that it carries. If you're an Aries rising, your message is improvise. Go with the flow. Go with the flow. Allow those emotions to come up and be released. The more you can be in the flow and just witnessing, improvisation is all about witnessing, right? You have to be present. You have to be in the flow. If you're in an improv class, you've got to be able to flow with the other people and the situations they're creating and the energy they're putting out. So be in the flow, improvise, allow those fears to come up and be released, and flow through your fears. Nobody has it figured out. No one has it figured out, Aries risings. As confident as you want to be showing up and having it all figured out, nobody has it figured out. This is your reminder to go with the flow and improvise. Let those fears flow through you and flow right out of you as well. Okay, Pisces risings. This lunar eclipse is in your 9th house of expansion, adventure, higher learning. You could gain some really amazing insights if you're a Pisces rising during this lunar eclipse. It could be a new level of awareness that you reach under this lunar eclipse. And your mantra here is, through surrender and flow, I expand exponentially. You love flow. You love surrender if you're a Pisces rising. You're fine with things being a little bit of a mess. And that's really beautiful in working with all of this Scorpio energy. Your Pisces energy is flowing nicely with the Scorpio energy, and just asking you to be open to the next level, and the expansion will come naturally for you, which is really nice. And if you're a Pisces rising, you also have Neptune in your first house right now, Mars in your first house right now. There's a lot of innate motivation you have and like confidence in yourself right now. So just lean into that self-confidence if you're a Pisces rising, and allow the energy around you to just kind of wash over you, go with the flow, be open to expansion. This is a really great transit for you if you're a Pisces rising. And here's your message. Ooh, very interesting. I got fine tune, which is interesting with the 9th house. So let me listen for a second. If you're a Pisces rising, you love to learn about all the esoteric things. You can buy into a concept really easily. You're like, oh, a new way of enlightenment, let me go for it, right? If you're a Pisces rising. What I'm hearing is that for you to expand with this lunar eclipse in your 9th house, it's going to be easy for you to expand. It's going to be easy. I don't want to say easy because it's still an eclipse, but this energy will feel a little bit easier for you, I think, than maybe some other signs. But fine tuning is important for you to understand the direction you're really supposed to be going in. Sometimes you might feel as a Pisces rising that you're just kind of like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. This is asking you to like throw it noodle by noodle. Does that make sense? Like, be more specific, Pisces risings, about where you're going. Maybe don't try to do all of it or learn all of it. Pick one thing to lean into under this eclipse and trust that that one thing is going to be what leads you to expansion. So get specific, get a little clearer if you're a Pisces about what you want to learn and how you want to expand under this lunar eclipse. Aquarius risings. I know we have an Aquarius rising that's been waiting. Diane, she asked a while ago. We're going through the signs, don't worry. So if you're an Aquarius rising, this lunar eclipse is landing in, I actually love this for you, Diane. Oh, I'm so excited. This lunar eclipse is landing in your 10th house of long-term goals. It's also the house of career, but it's more about the major things that we hope to achieve in our lifetime and what we consider success to look like. So if you're an Aquarius rising, the mantra for you is, I trust obstacles are detours in the direction of my highest good. I trust obstacles are detours in the direction of my highest good. Leaning into that trust, knowing you're supported, and if it feels like things have been falling away lately, especially with all this fixed energy, Saturn is in your first house if you're an Aquarius rising, it can feel like a lot of limits being placed on you, obstacles that you're facing, lessons that you're being forced to learn to kind of become the next version of yourself. It's not been easy for you if you're an Aquarius rising, that's for sure. But the key here to work with the energy of the lunar eclipse is to trust that all the obstacles, all the roadblocks that you've been hitting along the way are actually pushing you on the path, giving you a detour on the path of your highest good. So stay open to opportunities and release the need to know where you're going right now. Sometimes we have this very fixed view of what success looks like, and the key for you in this lunar eclipse is letting go of what you thought success looked like, or what boundaries or limits you placed on success, like, I have to do this by this age, or I have to be here at this time. let it go and trust any obstacles are really working out for your highest good, okay? And if you are an Aquarius rising, your card is be magnetized. I really like this with that analogy of detours, right? Sometimes we don't even realize that the universe is, or God is pulling us in a different direction. So lean into that magnetism and ask yourself, where am I being pulled right now? What does feel juicy and magnetic and good to lean into? And trust that the universe is pushing you more in that way, pushing you along that path, okay? Be magnetic. Allow that magnetic pull to just lead you along the path of least resistance. You've been facing a lot of resistance, Aquarius risings, but this is just asking you to flow along the path that is most magnetic to you. Couple more here. I trust obstacles are detours for my highest good. Tons of lessons. I feel you, Diane. I feel you. Okay. Capricorn risings. This lunar eclipse is landing in your 11th house of community, of the collective, of humanitarian causes, of, I think I said community already, but really your people. This is about your people, who you identify with, and the causes that are important to you. Your mantra as a Capricorn rising is, I release control, knowing the people meant for me will always find me. I release control knowing the people meant for me will always find me. Capricorn risings can be very serious and like to kind of be in control in a very like subtle way. Like I'm just going to stay back here and not let myself be vulnerable because that would be too scary, right? This lunar eclipse is actually inviting you to lean into that vulnerability, and you might be surprised by the connections you could make with a new community, with other people, if you do allow yourself to release the fears surrounding connection for you. This could be a very connective moment for Capricorn risings if they can let go of that control and that fear of being vulnerable. The card coming through for Capricorn risings, come back to center. Come back to center. It's almost like this little womb space that she's in on this card. And I think this is reminding us that for a Capricorn rising, coming back to that place of centered stability, like it's okay to be vulnerable because you always have that center within yourselves. Trust yourself, and that will allow other connections that are trusting and safe to come through for you. Release control of other people, knowing that the people meant for you will find you, and instead focus on coming back to your own center, your own self, your own individual essence, right? The 11th house is a lot about individuality and how our individuality can connect us with like-minded people. So coming back to what's true for you could bring in some really beautiful community connections. And last but certainly not least, Sagittarius risings. The lunar eclipse is lighting up your 12th house of endings, closure, release, healing. This could feel like a purge for you, this lunar eclipse. Right now, if you're a Sagittarius rising, it could feel like you are cutting things off, letting things go, just really releasing what is not working out for you anymore, what is not meant for you anymore. And that can be kind of painful. Healing often is a painful process. So if you're a Sagittarius rising, my mantra for you is, I am capable of feeling my pain in order to heal it. I am capable of feeling my pain in order to hear it. If you're a Sag rising, you like to have fun. You just want things to be happy-go-lucky all the time. You know, maybe not all the time, depending on the rest of your chart, but Sagittarius risings love to be the life of the party and bring that optimistic energy into any room they walk into. But sometimes that can come at the cost of not being 100% authentic or vulnerable or truthful about how we're really feeling, about our own fears, about our own pain. We can mask that pain by being optimistic all the time, right? So this lunar eclipse, if you're a Sagittarius rising, is inviting you to feel the pain, Give yourself a moment. Maybe take some time to rest, be in solitude with this happening in your 12th house. Feel it all so you can finally let it go and release it. It's time for you to close that chapter, Sagittarius risings. And my card for you, perfect for the 12th house. Slow down. Slow the heck down, Sag risings. If I was a Sag rising, I would take this weekend to just be on the couch, to just be in solitude or be in a very cozy, comfortable environment conducive to healing. Slow down enough to feel what's been weighing on you, feel what's been hiding in the shadows for all that time, and finally let it go and give yourself the gift of closure under this lunar eclipse. All right. Those were all 12 of our rising signs. If you missed yours, you can go back on the YouTube video and find it. Again, I will put time codes in the description so you can just jump to your sign whenever you're looking for guidance. A few more things to go through before we wrap this up. I do want to take you through what's going on with the moon on Sunday. We talked about all the major transits with the planets surrounding the lunar eclipse, but we didn't talk about the moon's movements just yet. Doing a sound bath on Sunday. What a beautiful way to work with this energy. I love that so much. Sound healing can be such a powerful form of releasing subconscious energy or subconscious beliefs. Sometimes we don't even realize what's coming up and being released when we're in a sound bath. So I think that's such a beautiful opportunity for you. Oh, and you are a Sag rising, I believe. So perfect. Feel it all. Let that sound wash the pain, wash the fear out of you. I'm excited for you. All right, so wrapping up the weekend. The moon is in Scorpio, of course, on Sunday ahead of the lunar eclipse. And again, we feel the deepest emotions with the moon in Scorpio. The moon makes yet another uncomfortable angle to Venus and Chiron. Remember how we talked about that conjunction between Venus and Chiron? Well, the moon's going to connect to it at 3 a.m. Sunday morning, so overnight. This isn't a super potent transit, but it could just feel like a little trigger that's coming up, or it could be a subconscious trigger, like maybe something in your dreams that's coming up about past relationships, past trauma or fears in relationships, or about receiving love, about giving love. It could come up in your subconscious awareness, in your dream state, or it could be that you wake up and you just kind of feel like something from the past, a pain point is being poked at a little bit on Sunday morning. Nothing intense, but just like we're not really able to fully understand it. It's almost going to be like a little something poking at us, but we can't fully pinpoint what's being poked, if that makes sense. At 5 a.m. on Sunday morning, the moon opposes Uranus. Now, this is actually a really important transit to talk about ahead of the lunar eclipse, because when the moon opposes Uranus, it makes us prone to outbursts. And mind you, Uranus is along the lines of all the fixed signs being activated, right? Because Uranus is in Taurus. And this really makes us more impulsive, more disruptive. We could find ourselves on Sunday morning, like almost in anticipation of all this energy that's being released and shifted. Like we want to control the situation, so we're going to like poke at other people or find a thrill to distract us from the real work that's going on within. Now, this can also create some surprises. When the moon opposes Uranus, it can shine light on some emotional revelations that we're meant to have right now, some insights coming through. So this isn't all bad. It's just more about being intentional about how we're working with the energy. We want to avoid the tendency to create our own excitement and instead just be open to any downloads, information, surprises, opportunities that are coming our way because of this lunar eclipse. This transit in general with the moon opposing Uranus can feel like the boat is rocking, Sometimes the boat rocking can bring on some, I don't know where I'm going with this analogy, but it can bring in new awareness, right? But it also creates discomfort. And that discomfort is what makes us want to poke at other people and cause disruptions. So If you're feeling tension, especially in your most intimate relationships with the moon in Scorpio, the manner in which you react to those disruptions or those irritations will be critical. Remember not to create more of a disruption. Instead, just be open to any new revelations or information. At 4 p.m., the moon forms a conjunction to the south node in Scorpio. So really starting to feel that polarity, that pull between the north and south nodes, between the full moon on Sunday evening. This brings this deep emotional awareness to both the past and to the future. That's why eclipses are so powerful. It's like, I believe Gregory said, it's like one chapter closing, another chapter opening. So we're really going to, when the moon forms a conjunction to the south node, it's like we're able to feel and embody a past version of ourselves, past beliefs, in order to fully release them. It might even feel like you are repeating patterns from the past on Sunday evening, and it's all about catching yourself in that pattern so you can finally stop it, cut it off, let it go. This is showing us what needs to be released when the moon meets up with the south node. It can also just feel like a final goodbye to an energy that's no longer serving us. Like, oh, I remember what this feels like, and I don't like this anymore. Goodbye, no thank you. That's kind of the energy we're walking into on Sunday evening. And then at 6 p.m., so now we have some nice transits to finish out the forecast. I'm glad it worked out this way. So at 6 p.m. Pacific time, the moon, I just realized, the moon over here, 24 degrees. So you see the moon is with the south node there. The moon is going to form a trine to Mars and then a trine to Neptune, because Mars and Neptune coming into a conjunction. We'll talk all about that next week. So the moon is harmonizing with both Mars and Neptune. This is all about flow. This is all about flow, trust, aligning with the energy that feels natural. Okay, so first of all, the moon harmonizing with Mars allows that action to come through with ease. It allows this transformation to flow. It's like any actions that we're taking on Sunday will just likely feel really aligned with this transformative energy and this alchemy that's happening for us, for our highest good. It can almost feel like our higher self is acting on our behalf when the moon harmonizes with Mars. Like we could be doing things and not even realize why we're doing them, but just know that like, okay, this is what we're supposed to be doing, and trust that the powers that be are guiding us in the right direction. If we're tuned in enough to understand our evolution, this could bring some insights, but likely what's happening on Sunday night, even if it feels intuitive, will be confusing because the moon is also connecting with Neptune in this way, which enhances our intuition, but also creates fogginess and confusion. So the beauty of Neptune is it allows us to be empathetic. It allows us to be compassionate as we align with that trusting, loving energy. But okay, there is a but here. There is a caveat. We talked about that T-square between the lunar eclipse, the moon, the sun, and Saturn. That can create an energy of tension and depletion. So I feel like it's almost like this burst of energy that we get on Sunday night as the moon harmonizes with Mars. Like we're feeling the transformation, we're feeling the alchemy, and then we get this like, sometimes you use all your energy and then you're depleted. I feel like that's what happens late Sunday night. Like, okay, we experienced the transformation. Now it's time to go to bed. I even wrote, give yourself the gift of an early bedtime on Sunday night. Of course, if you want to stay up, see the eclipse wherever you're living, that's super fun. But in general, like working things out after that eclipse through your subconscious with that moon in Scorpio can actually be more beneficial than anything our rational mind can handle right now. Saturn squaring the moon makes us just a little bit more depressed or unable to like see the positives. And again, the moon forming a harmony to Neptune, it does make us more compassionate and open, but it's hard to fully put the pieces together of what's happening at the time. So that's why I say, like, when the moon harmonizes with Neptune, the planet of sleep, just go to sleep and let your subconscious figure it out. Let it all work out that way. Okay. That was a lot of stuff to get through, you guys. So many of you are still hanging with me, and I love it. Oh, it's your first sound bath. Amazing. You are going to love it. You have to come back and tell me how it went. Tell me what came up for you during the sound bath. It's going to be I can't believe you're having your first sound bath on the eclipse. That's going to be incredible. So excited for you. Okay. I don't even think we need to do an overview because we went deep today. We got into all the nitty-gritty of this eclipse. The one thing I will say is to just flow, release, let go what is no longer serving you. It doesn't matter what's going on in your chart. It's time to release your fears, release anything holding you back from starting that new chapter in your life. We're all here to support you. We're creating this beautiful community together. I also have to say that I started these live streams on the new moon in Scorpio. So this is our 6-month anniversary of transits today. And it makes me so happy to be able to share this energy with you all every day, to navigate the energy with you all every day. It's truly a privilege to communicate with you in this way. And it makes my heart so happy to see so many of you in the comments resonating with this guidance that's coming through. So I wish you all an easy time navigating this lunar eclipse. And if it's not easy, I wish you all compassion for yourselves and for the people around you. I love you. I'm so grateful for you showing up for yourself today. I'm so grateful for you showing up for this community today. Happy eclipse, and I will see you right back here on Monday morning. But until then, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.